session of this day. So we have a book launch, Scent of Rain, by remembering Jayanta Mahapatra, contributed by Sir Ashwini Kumar, Asutosh Parida, Robin S. Gangom, Rabindra K. Swai, Durga Prasad Parida, and Kedar Mishra, sir. Please have a huge round of applause and let's begin the session. Thank you.
For me, today, this particular session, although we have officially and formally launched this book, this is not exactly a memorial. I call it a memory book, a memory archive at Mathrubhumi Festival. So this is like another and perhaps the most significant and joyous, tribute to Jayanta Babu, Jayanta Mahapatra, one of the legends of Indian literature, I would say, not just limited to Indian poetry or poetry in India. So all of us here, Kedar Bhai, Durga, Ravinder Bhai, particularly who has been looking after Chandrabhaga, I call it mythic, mythic journal, and the journal which appears, reappears, disappears, again reappears. So something like, the trajectory of Jayanta Babu appears, reappears. I'm not sure, that if Jayanta Babu is gone permanently, because I'm sure that he will appear and reappear. So in this metaphorical sense, Anantamurti was fond of metaphor, a life of metaphors. In that sense, this book, Scent of Rain, Barish ki mahak, Rahul yahan baithe hain. So Barish ki mahak ya Barish ki khushbu is a tribute to Jayanta Babu and Jayanta Mahapatra. And I will say a few words about it. We have been curating, all of us together, Chandrabhaga Poetry Festival for the last 10 years. And Kedar Bhai, Durga Bhai, and Ravinder Bhai. So this was originally scheduled to be launched at 10th edition of Chandrabhaga Festival. And now Jayanta Babu gone. And we were quite upset that we could not do it in a way that we wanted to do it in his presence. So what we did, we decided to get together and collect poems. So what I have done that, across 17 languages, we have collected poems from 189 poets. So each poet, each poem. So this is like this collection, geographies and generations, across geographies and generation, and different lands and different landscapes. So this is a tribute, and this tribute is not actually thematic. When I started, conceptualizing this Scent of Rain, and got in touch with poets across India, across languages, my only humble, brief to all of them was that don't write, in a typically Western way of, elegiac, tribute or memorial tribute in the Western sense. I don't know exactly. Professor Carr is here. In the early 20th century, Tagore was involved in this kind of a debate, whether we should celebrate the passing of a poet in the Western sense or in the Indian sense, in the mythic tradition. So I go, with Tagore, and I'm celebrating Jayanta Babu in this mythic tradition, in the memory tradition that is always around, and not typically, like the Auden did a memorial poem for, that not in that sense. So this book is not about, and Sachidanandan grabbed the essence of the book, and he says that in the blurb. That is also 189 micro tributes, micro narratives, micro aesthetics, emerging out of each poet, for instance, in Khasi, Kok Barok, Gujarati, Udiya, Bengali, and etc., Hindi, and also English, So English is now here as a full stream on its own. That's something, Jayanta Babu would have loved, Although he continued to write in English and primarily English, but I have also presented here Jayanta Babu as a bilingual, Like Jayanta Babu is famous, when we came here to launch his noon book, and we spoke about Jayanta Kuchu Nahi Jani, that longest poem of Jayanta Babu, kind of in a comment on his, bilinguality and multilinguality and multi-tongues that Jayanta Babu experimented with in his own way. So this is a melodic, memoric tribute to Jayanta Babu. And I would like all my friends sitting here, and also some of you are here. Professor Chandrabhanu Patnaik has been a partner, and his Institute for Knowledge Societies has been really, really great help and gave me so much nourishment while I was busy with Durga was involved, Kedar also, and Ravi Babu, Ravinder has been with us in this tribute. Kar Sahib has been a great supporter of Jayanta Babu's work. And I'm very privileged feeling that today at Kalinga Festival, on this land, in this language, I belong to this place. And, and I have mentioned here that particularly two of here sitting, Kedar and Durga, gave me this sense to return to my imaginary homeland in Saranda forest. And I was missing that. And Kedar always teases me about that. You are a half Odia or one third Odia. Although I don't have that tongue, I can't speak, but I understand. I live there in an imaginary sense with the language and the tradition, aesthetic and cultural traditions. So here, and the book, and I would like you to come, all of us here, all of you, so that we can formally, officially launch at Kalinga Festival. Kedar Babu, over to Kedar.
Book is already launched. So, and Jayanta Mahapatra, as you told, Jayanta Mahapatra is always there around. So you cannot miss that person. He will be somewhere, he's, I think he's the only poet who comes like a flash, comes like a lightning anywhere, on any situations, on any crisis, on any joyful situation. And his favorite word was, every time you talk to him, he will end up by saying love you. And that was his way of expressing his love. And for me, Jayanta Mahapatra is a Odia poet writing in English. And he also accepted that, he always said that I'm basically a Odia poet. And accidentally I'm writing in English. So that was Jayanta Mahapatra, and Jayanta Mahapatra is a part of our lives. Um, be it Rabindra Kumar Swai, Durga, me, Ansuman, or Aswini, or Chandrabhanu there. So we all a part of his existence. I won't say family. Jayanta Mahapatra's family is like, I think he's the only poet of our generation who was celebrated by across the generation. Actually, I think I have not seen so many obituaries uh, coming up for a poet. Many of our we have there are great poets. There will be great poets, but Jayanta is his another favorite line was, whenever you meet him, he will say that I'm not a good man, and that was the goodness of him. So it's great. Thank you, Aswini, for taking this task. And I know how painful it was running after everyone. And poets, as always, they will send it they will send their poem in WhatsApp. Then you will call them back, send it in mail. And so it was a very painful journey that you had took up. And thank you for that. We did not add much to your labor, but we are always there. Thank you very much for bringing this book, and let's launch it now. I will request Rahul and Manoj, please come. And Chandrabhanu भी आ जाओ, एक दो फोटो खींच के. Yeah, everybody should come. Yeah, Rahul's presence should be very important here because
Is it fine? Yeah. You can come. Yeah, it's a book. Bhai, frame रहे बे, समझ He wants to come, na? He is taking the picture.
मैं तुम्हारे जनरेशन के लिए जानता हूँ रविंद्र अपना प्लीज नहीं लाइव है आप पूरा पूरा लाइव है ना जयंता इज लाइव और लाइव
Thank you, sir.
Especially, I want to inform Manoj during this award wapsi time, so he was the only poet from Odisha who returned his Padma Shri, and he was never used to this kind of confrontations. He was a very mild, soft person. And when this trolling started and people alleged him that because he's a Christian, that's why he returned his words. And the abuses, heaps of abuses actually. And he trolled back, not in Twitter and Facebook, but he trolled back by writing a book. His last poetry collection was explicitly political. That was not Jayanta Mahapatra. In all his life, he was a very calm, quiet, soft-spoken man. But in his last poetry book in Odia, that's in Odia, not, but I think it should be translated now actually, and it's a fabulously political collection, and the way he was trolled. So it is an encounter, you can say. It's a very poetic encounter of the trauma that he had actually. So that's, yeah, it should be actually, it should be translated actually. And I think Rabindra Kumar Swami, who was the longest associate of Jayanta Mahapatra, and he was managing editor of the Chandrabhaga, the magazine of Dream actually. That was the magazine of our dream. So now it's over to Rabida to speak a few words.
Good morning, everybody. So, where to begin, with Kedar or with Ashwini? You have been saying so much about. So, Jayanta ko kuch malum nahi jo you said that the poem was a response. That was a very learning point for me. How to protest, how to reject and be not vocal. So, one of our Odia critics wrote a scathing review of his work, saying, Jayanta jaha jane nahi. It's a very derogatory Odia term. You cannot say in terms of tu. आप बोल सकते हैं, तुम बोल सकते हैं, but not tu. Jayanta jaha jane nahi. So that is very hot. That hurt us all. Okay. So it took Jayanta Mahapatra almost a decade or so to respond to that feeling of hot, being hot. So he said in that poem, Jayanta jaha jane nahi. He wrote a poem on this. And the very essence of that poem is summed up in 2 lines. Jayanta Mahapatra addressing himself. He lives in dream, he will die in dream. So that's his fate. So you write whatever you like. So that so many issues were there. He's a Christian. So in that poem, he raises that issue. Once a friend, when he was a child, his friend came, talked to him. They were talking outside the gate. And when that friend left, his mother, whom he didn't like. That is very saddest part for us. He has written about that in his autobiography. Why? So one of the reasons is this: only when he was growing up and mother says, who is that guy who came to meet you? Is he a Christian? So that kind of feeling a parent is having for their child. So these are the points of being hot that has saved him. He would like to say that no, you don't reject pain, you cherish it, emulate it, grow over it. So, regarding the saint of rain, as we all know, his poems are replete with references to rain, and you are right in choosing this title for the book. That's very befitting. And then I'm reminded now that we are all here again. His friends are very few, I tell you. Jayanta Mahapatra, when I met him in 1980, I was a student of graduation. My teacher told me, if you want to write in English, go meet a poet in English. So he gave me a piece that he delivered at Mysore. In that piece, I was 20. So when I came back, I told him, sir, do you have only 6 to 8 friends? So he said, what do you say? Yes, I do have that much of friends only. And today, everyone loves him. I understand. Okay, fine. But friends remain very few, I tell you. I can't claim to be a friend or somebody who loved him. I was with him. I have no claims. So I am not a claimant over his love. So we love him, but I will not say it in public like that kind of feeling we have. Oh, so it was a privilege to be associated with a great poet. As we know, it's every day is a process of learning. Not only in even in reading, he would say, Ravi, you are not reading much. Take this book. So that's the book I didn't know. So this kind of thing went on. He would ask me to buy a book, tell me read it first, then give it to me, like Cicero, The Day Before Island, the Island of the Day Before by Umberto Eco. So when I went with that copy, he said, Robbie, you delayed, I have bought it. So the my copy becomes mine. A teddy I bought for him, he would present to somebody. Then he had it. I was late. I was always a late comer. So that kind of thing goes on. You know, this is just a law. You can talk about it in public. So many things. So we are happy that you have collected this anthology. And in anthologies, there is no binding factor excepting yours. Sudeep has done an anthology. Jeet has done an anthology. Yes, they are doing a historical thing. But here, you are making a tribute to an individual poet. So that binds the whole of the works you have included there. So it should be taken in that spirit. As you said, W.H. Auden, when he wrote that elegy on W.B. Yeats, Earth, receive thy honored guest. Here, W.B. Yeats is put to rest. So, our namaskar to the great soul. Please, thank you.
Now, Professor Kar Sahab would like to say a few words. Yeah, please, Kar Sahab. Kar Sahab.
Yeah, good morning to all of you. Look, two things are very important about this book. One is that I have never seen any Indian English poet getting this kind of a tribute before Jayanta Mahapatra. Meaning this is probably the first one done on an Indian English poet. Yeah. And that's why we are all grateful to you as members of Jayanta Mahapatra's family. It's a great work, and I think that the tradition that you you say it actually up today, or it has been launched earlier as Matribhumi Festival as well. It should continue, and but I don't know whether other poets also, because I know why you have taken so much of pain in bringing this book out, and that too in such a short span of time, because almost in 3 to 4 months the book is ready, and collecting poems as Kedar was also pointing out that poets are always poets. I know that they sent long bio notes of 1 page, 2 pages, even sometimes to you. So to handle all these things and then ultimately to bring out a book of this kind is really commendable. It's a great job done. And this is the right kind of tribute that we all actually can give to someone like Jayanta Mahapatra. I am a Bengali poet, and I used to, mostly I used to talk to him over phone. And whenever I telephoned him, he used to, talk to me in Bangla. That was also kind of a surprise to me. Meaning he was so fluent in Bangla as well. The first thing that he used to ask me, Bhalo acho? So this is the first thing that he used to ask me. Another thing which is very important, I could be a bit repetitive because this is something that I pointed out in Chandrabhaga as well. It's really good that the book was launched in Matribhumi and now is being launched here in Bhubaneswar instead of Delhi, instead of Mumbai, because he was the man. Let me tell you that my daughter, she also writes poetry and that too in English. And I have seen that in the last 20 years or so, so many middle class Indians, young Indians, they have started writing poetry. It has become possible only because of Jayanta Mahapatra. Otherwise, because before Jayanta Mahapatra, all other poets, they were Indian English poets, I mean, they were quote unquote elites, right? Having very strong connections outside India, right? They came out of a very reputed elite institutes as well. And Kedar is also right in pointing out, this is something that Jayanta Babu used to say also. In writing in so many of his interviews also he pointed this out, that I am an Odia poet writing in English. So that is something which is very important. From that perspective, the title of the book, The Scent of Rain, because Odisha could be felt, smelt in Jayanta Mahapatra's poetry. And this is also something that he was doing. More theoretically speaking, he was, if we look at the birth of the nation and the gradual emergence of newly independent nation state, then Jayanta Mahapatra was writing from the margin. And not only that, he was redefining the nation in its own way as well. He never left Cuttack. This is also unthinkable, right? That for his entire life, he remained in Cuttack, went on writing from Cuttack, but he was a global poet as well at the same time. So this is not at all something, meaning in 2024, when we have WhatsApp, we have the social media for us to use. It's something which is normal, natural. It was not that easy. Not that easy at all. His first book of poems also came out in 1971 when he was almost 40. So a late runner as a poet he too was. So that's why. And from that space, from that subject position, the way he at the same time was very much rooted, remained rooted in Odisha, and at the same time had also a kind of a global reach for himself, became a kind of a global poet. That is something which is highly commendable. And as I told you, that it set a kind of a precedence that if someone like Jayanta Mahapatra can do, others can aspire to become Jayanta Mahapatra, however difficult that one is. This is why I'm telling you that I have seen in the last 20 years or so many young chaps, they are coming out and instead of writing in their vernacular languages, they are expressing themselves in English. This is really something which has happened because of this man, because of this great man. So from that perspective also, it is a fitting tribute that we are releasing the book in Bhubaneswar and in Matribhumi Festival in Kerala, instead of releasing the book in Mumbai or Delhi or even in Jaipur Literary Festival, right? So he actually is a poet of ours, is a poet of festivals like this. So from that perspective also, the book is important, the release of the book is important. And another thing that you have done, I remember that I asked you this question when you telephoned me about this anthology and requested me to contribute one poem. I asked you that, should we all write on Jayanta Babu? And you told me that, is that possible? I also told you that, yeah, that's not possible at all. So something that Ravida has pointed out, that only your introduction is the thing that weaves these poems together. And as Sachidanandan has written in the blurb, that these are all micro tributes, to such a great poet. That is also very much befitting to a collection like this and to Jayanta Mahapatra, because once again, so many minor discordant voices you have put together in a book, and that was in a sense Jayanta Mahapatra's poetry as well. So hats off to you, Ashwini, for bringing this book out, and I am grateful to Red River also for doing a marvelous job. Now it's Durga's turn, probably.
Yeah, Durga ji. Durga.
Before handing it over to Durga, I have one line more to say. You're talking about his Bengali speaking. There is one interview, Ravida must be remembering, that there was an interview of Jayanta Mahapatra, that was again in Odia. Me, Ravindra Kumar Swami, Bharat Machi, and Jyoti Nanda. We four were together sitting, and we asked him a question about his friends. Tell us about your friends. We know that, we were very curious to know that his friendship with Ginsberg and his days with and this great Japanese poets.
Yeah.
He said that, I'm not relatable to anyone else outside India. I have two great friends. One is Sakti Chattopadhyay and another is K. Sachidanandan.
Yes.
Because they are the people to whom I really connect very well. And people around me in Cuttack, his friends, the person who was having a tire puncture shop outside his home, the Beatles shop owner, and his lifelong companion was his house help. He was so, and passing away of what was Sarojini.
Sarojini.
And he wrote a wonderful poem on Sarojini. So, he was always comfortable with people who are not elite, actually.
Yeah.
So, over to Durga.
Durga.
Good morning to all of you. It's really painful to talk about Jayanta Mahapatra in the past tense. And ironically, since he passed away, I have been talking about him constantly, meeting after meeting. And it really feels very surreal. You can't be happy about talking about Jayanta Mahapatra all the time. And it is difficult to accept that he is no more. And how to compress into a few words a relationship of 25 years and lots of things to remember, lots of things to share, some shareable and some unshareable anecdotes are there. So let me be a little choosy about it, and I'll share just one thing. When I went to Delhi University to study, then we Odiyas have some kind of inferiority complex that we underplay ourselves all the time. So the same happened with me in Delhi University, and two persons came to my rescue. One is Jayanta Mahapatra, another is Prafulla Mohanty. I used to call my Delhi friends to English section of the library, took them to show them books by Prafulla Mohanty and Jayanta Mahapatra. And proudly I used to tell them, these two persons are from my state. I hail from the state from where Jayanta Mahapatra, he is from my state only. So that way, I must be in my early 20s. So these two persons saved my pride in Delhi. I felt very proud of being an Odia just because Jayanta Mahapatra was an Odia, and Prafulla Mohanty living in London, he also wrote a book. What's the name of the book? Through Brown Eyes. So lots of things to say about Jayanta Mahapatra, and I don't have much time to say all these things, but let me compliment Ashwini Kumarji for this unique anthology. It's unique in so many ways, and I have seen him toiling hard for this to make this anthology happen. We all have seen him hopping from festival to festival, designing and getting others involved in doing works. So that way, I can say this is very unique. No Indian English poet got this kind of a tribute, a poetic tribute that Jayanta Mahapatra has, and quite deservingly so. I give full credit to Ashwini Kumarji for bringing out this anthology so brilliantly and so flawlessly, so delicately, and so gorgeously. So all credits to you, Ashwini Bhai, and what more to say? I'm very happy about it. I'm very happy about this whole thing that KLF decided to give us a platform to release this book here, and it's a great moment. I feel proud to be a part of this moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Just few words before I pass on to Sanjogita to read a poem from here. She has contributed, and one of the youngest poets writing from Odisha. And what I said before, the big writers, novelists, and playwrights in Kerala, Matrubhumi, I was struck by Matrubhumi. And incidentally, the Matrubhumi for me is the language of Jayanta. If you go through this anthology, what I have done in anthropology is anthology. I have also played with the idea, St. Augustine's idea, which I picked up from Hannah Arendt's dissertation title, Amor Mundi, love of the world. So that's what Jayanta. And I quoted one of the last messages that we and Jayanta went on every day until the last breath, where he speaks of Amar Mundi in a different sense. And I'm very happy to share with you, Tishani has written a poem titled Amar Mundi, again incidentally. So that's the way I played with this idea. And also kind of, defecting from the fashionable, post-colonial idea of homelessness. So you will find that, all of us are, familiar with Jayanta's work. There is no homelessness. There is a Matrubhumi. There is a Matrubhumi in Jayanta. So this Matrubhumi that Tagore spoke and wrote about at least 27 words in Bangla to reflect on Matrubhumi, that plurality of Matrubhumi, that diversity of the languages, the test of the tongue that Arundhati and all of us yesterday talked about it. So that scent of rain is also the test of that tongue arising out of the mitti of the Matrubhumi. So thank you very much for saying so many. Yeah,
Look, I have a very uncanny habit of not deleting numbers of people who are no more, and I can't delete actually those numbers. I have a poem on this issue as well, delete option. I can't delete. So Jayanta Babu's last WhatsApp chat with me, it was about, I was telling you about this. This is also something which is very special about this book. I edit one online poetry journal, which is called Poetry India. And we dedicated also an issue to Jayanta Mahapatra. And there we published an essay written by Ashwini, which was actually a talk that was delivered on the occasion of the release of book release Noon and other poems in Bhubaneswar. And then Jayanta Mahapatra, he WhatsApped me. One morning I got this message from Jayanta Babu. He wrote to me, Angshuman, can I bother you? Would it be possible to send me a hard copy of Ashwini Kumar's essay, which you published recently? I have much difficulty in reading from a mobile. Then I told him, sir, yes, we will. But I have not been able to bring out a hard copy of that issue. And I'm so happy that that essay, in a modified form, happens to be the introduction to this book. So that is also the last wish of Jayanta Mahapatra, meaning from my side, what he wrote to me. So I am grateful to you, Ashwini, also for using that piece as the introduction to this book. So that is something that I just wanted to add to.
And in last WhatsApp chat to me, one line, please don't forget I am 95.
He was very fond of reminding. Say.
Please let me know about the state of your health. He writes, please don't forget that I am 95.
Yeah. And I would also like to invite Mani Rao. Mani, I remember when I asked her for a poem, and Mani sent some of the pieces that Jayanta Babu published her, and those. And I asked Mani very innocently, naively, "Oh, Mani, you mean that I'm going to publish all these poems?" And then Mani also, lyrically chiding me. No, Ashwini, I just wanted you to read these poems published in Chandrabhaga. I'm sending you a special poem for this anthology. So Mani, you also join. Please come here, please. Yeah, एक chair लगाइए, Mani Rao. I would like you to speak few words. Yeah. ये नहीं हम लोग नहीं आइए ना, आइए, come Mani. এখানে এখানে আরে basa in Marathi. You know, I'm using Marathi, I'm using Bangla.
What am I to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. That is Ashwini. He publishes poetries without telling them.
I sent you the letter that he had written me a long time ago, along with the poems that were published in the 90s.
Yeah.
So
Many
that
surprises.
that was just like
You
a part
can
of
always-
our sharing our connection and memory of.
Your memory, yeah, it's a memory.
That's
book.
it.
It's a
That's it. But
memory.
I know your deadline is soon, so I'm going to.
Oh, please don't.
just separate.
Maybe tomorrow I'm going to meet
Okay, so
who
this
knows?
was a poem written for this anthology. Correct.
So,
That is this.
Yeah, that is this, the anthology. Yeah. So it is such a privilege to be published in this, and I owe it to. I'll manage. I owe it to you, sir, that you gave me this opportunity. The title of my poem is Helpless. It was initially written in Hindi Urdu and it is translated by Chandrabhanu Patnaik. I wonder if my roots are my anchor or my limitation. I wonder if my roots are my anchor or my limitation. Must I be grateful to them or complain? I feel trapped by my own roots. I feel trapped by my own roots as I continue to be mindful of tradition. Perhaps the benefactor becomes too consumed so that the roots penetrate deeper into the ground. I cannot run, my roots are deep. I cannot run, my roots are deep, while the cruel world stems my branches. The roots are unaware, the oppressive world inconsiderate, while the tender, innocent shoots sprout with new dreams. Today, these branches will be afflicted with agony. Alas, innocence will be wounded again. Today, these branches will be afflicted with agony. Alas, innocence will be wounded again. I could not save my branches. I could not convince my roots to let go. I could not save my branches. I could not convince my roots to let go. Is life a helpless struggle? To endure without a sigh, to witness the anguish silently tied to a peg.
money.
So this poem is called Chandrabhaga and is on that theme. I never asked for the moon, only fragment. I never asked for the moon, only fragment of the prow of a sailing sickle. One tusk shorter, dancing partner, I hold you firm and steer you sideways. And with that tip, I touch a million poets. Who plows the water when the moon's a sickle? Who's that whirling when the answer's a circle? Wear the rosary when the moon's single-faced? Half the moon and we're almost there. The moon is the arc of narratives. Gather them, those who keep time. Sailors on painted decks, twinkling dolphins, stones that do not sleep. In the shadow of the moon, see you again.
Thank you, Mani. And now we are running out of time. So let me just close this beautiful memory conversation with Jayanta Babu and friends of Jayanta Babu all around us. The last, just read this introduction. Jayanta Babu is not around anymore. Jayanta Babu is not around anymore. Hibiscus blooms in the hills. I'm falling into the light shuttered with ash-smeared hermit memories. Once again, it has been a day of rain. Someone is calling me. A voice far away, but strangely familiar. I don't wait for words, just a smell and experience, scent of rain. It is when windows of our bodies open and we all become poems. Thank you, Jayanta.
Ashwini, every year in Chandrabhaga Poetry Festival, we get together and we talk about money. So there is always a shortage of money. So Jayanta Mahapatra will say, okay, I'm giving 1,000 rupees. Then I'm giving 500. So because that is a community festival. So for this book, I'm not taking a free coffee. I'm contributing my cost.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, please. All. We will honor words of Jayanta Babu. And we have another money, money. Our primal force will really take us long. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Please. Do buy the books. Books are available downstairs also in the hall. And books will be available at Amazon also. It's a small boutique, Red River, publishing this book. Divya Jyoti himself is a brilliant poet and publisher. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to add a few words. Like,
Aja.
it was very nostalgic to hear. It was very nostalgic to hear the panelists speak about Jayanta Mahapatra, as I know him not really personally, but from the point of view of my professor, who was very close to him, and she shares stories, and just like now you shared WhatsApp chats, she shares that with me, and somewhere or some मतलब वो guilt है कि I am not able to meet him. My professor coaxed me, चलो मिल लेते हैं. He's one of a kind, but I got involved in unimportant things, and I just lost the time to. And it was I observed Ashwini sir getting like theory, and it was very nice to have Jayanta Mahapatra as a like he's a poet of all. He's poet who belongs to all, and somewhere or like even if I have not met him, I think he's a poet who belongs to me somewhere or other. Like, Shivangi.
And what is the name of your professor?
Professor Shantini Behura. Yes, she's here. Yeah.
Late Jayanta Mahapatra, his relationships with everyone, and his work that have created a huge impact on the life of people and also on himself. Please have a huge round of applause for all the speakers over here. So moving to the next session, there is a book launch and a discussion over Bhagavad Gita for the Gen Zs by Mani Rao ma'am along with Rahul Soni. Please welcome them on the stage.
Sure, sir. I'll send you. After this, please give me your number. I'll send you on the WhatsApp. No. Sir, just a minute.
My card.